Okay, first of all, I thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts on historicizing the shared heritage, Kashi-Tamil Sangamam and beyond. So this is one of the most favorite themes in the recent past. My argument is any discussion on Tamil Kashi Sangamam would be inadequate or incomplete without adequately referencing the deep-rooted Indian cultural commonalities, the entrenched common heritage between Tamil and Sanskrit languages from antiquity, the well-established spiritual tradition between the south and northern part of India, and scholarly interpretations, of course, by Aurobindo Ghosh, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Jawaharlal Nehru, and historians, most importantly, K. Neelakanta Shastri, and poets, for example, Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati. And of course, in the recent past, the scholarly contribution made by archaeologist R. Nagasamy, to name a few. Now, as we all know, history is a continuous process of interaction between past and present, and an unending dialogue between historians and our facts. I normally try to ask questions to myself, so that at least I get some clarity on what we are talking about and why we are talking about, and what is the need to talk about the shared heritage, at least between South and North, and Kashi and Tamil in particular. The questions that I would like to ask are, number one, what are the ways in which the ideas of cultural commonality and continuity have been articulated over a period of time, and how we are trying to revisit it. Second question is, why there is a need to historicize the shared heritage of India now more than ever before. And the third question, I am sure we all must be asking in one way or the other, is how do we contextualize the Kashi-Tamil Sangamam through post-colonial experiences? For example, many scholars, historians, philosophers, particularly in the 20th century, try to analyze the crucial linkages between South and North. And I always personally feel that any discussion on this would be incomplete without adequately referencing the ideas expressed and articulated by Aurobindo Ghosh. Because as Aurobindo Ghosh said, various objects with different names and forms are only projections of the same reality, just as ornaments are projections of the same goal. And commenting on the colonial construct of the Indian cultural tradition, Aurobindo said, I quote, "The Aryan and Dravidian races are not separate and unconnected families, but two branches of a same or single stock." The legend of the Aryan invasion and settlement in the Punjab in the Vedic times is, for Aurobindo Ghosh, is nothing but a philosophical myth. So how do we see this Aryan-Dravidian debate? Because this is completely, as we often understand from various historical literature, seem to have been a colonial construct. So it is in this context how the Tamil Kashi Sangamam needs to be contextualized. And secondly, what is important is Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan often dismissed the colonial construct of India, particularly when it comes to the Aryan Dravidian political construct. He says, I quote, "Aboriginal tribes cultured Dravidians and Vedic Aryans were all Hindus and they were sons of the same mother, unquote. And similarly, if you look at the historical tradition, most importantly, historians like K. Neelakanta Sastry, I'm sure most of you are familiar with, he said, the most striking feature of the cultural past of India is its composite quality, which is the result of blend of what he called the two originally distinct cultures, Tamilian and Aryan. He never used the term Dravidian, if I understand him correctly. So these are the ways in which how historians, philosophers and certain sections of the political class try to dismiss the colonial construct of India, which often try to divide people based on culture, traditions, beliefs, practices, customs and conventions and so on and so forth. And most importantly, whenever we remember Jawaharlal Nehru, we often ignore or we tend to ignore the ways in which he interpreted the South and North, how they are interconnected culturally. Commenting on the cultural unity and commonality of the people of India, Jawaharlal Nehru said, I quote him, the whole of India, from the north to the south, is the common heritage of every Indian. The history of India is everyone's common heritage. All the culture of India is everyone's common heritage. Hence, there is no division between north and south, east and west of India. This is only one important aspect which I would like to say, as Jawaharlal Nehru said, there is only one India of which all of the citizens are its inheritors. It belongs to everyone. So it is in this context, I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to share my thoughts on Subramanya Bharati. For example, we often remember him as Mahakavi. In what way his presence in Kashi shaped his vision and mission for a larger Indian nationality as an identity. So Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati, who stayed in Varanasi or Kashi, or Banaras, whatever we call it, during the 1898 to 1902, was influenced heavily by individuals like Nivedita, Mahatma Gandhi, Tilak and Aurobindo Ghosh. And what I find very interesting is Kashi played a key role in shaping Subramanya Bharati's inner and outer being as an individual. He was introduced to spirituality and nationalism in this city called Kashi and developed a love and admiration for Kashi and the nation. While speaking at the birthday celebrations in New Delhi on 11th December 1963, Jawaharlal Nehru said, Bharati was not only a poet of Tamil Nadu, but also the whole of India. He hoped that efforts would be made to translate his works, which would help accelerate the process of national integration. That is the power of, the poet Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati, and his stay in Kashi needs to be remembered historically. And finally, Subramanya Bharati, popularly known as Mahakavi, as we all know, not only became one of the leading figures and voices of the newly awakened national consciousness, but also expressed his ideas in defense of a free, non-sectarian and democratic India through his patriotic and nationalist songs. I conclude by one of the very important articles published in 1960 by the Times of India, and it was authored by T.V. Ramanujam. And the article title is Bharati, Poet of Tamil Renaissance, published by the Tamil Times of India on 11th September 1960. It said, I quote, no poet during the past century, which is the 19th century, had such a deep influence as Subramanya Bharati on so many millions of Tamils. Neither his patriotism nor his faith was restricted and narrow. He rose above the cramping effects of castes, community, provincialism, and linguism. And finally, as N.K.P. Salve argues, I quote him, Bharati's message had come to conquer the whole world that was, in a way, facing conflicting ideologies, largely by the colonial construct. He also said, Bharati's message had come to acquire special significance now when basic values were threatened with erosion because of a distorted concept of national identity. It is in this context, my sincere suggestion to all the participants is to see how the connection between Kashi and Tamil Nadu is not just a cultural contact, but it also shaped the idea of nationality, the idea of patriotism, the idea of nationalism, and how one can look at the Kashi-Tamil connection as also something to do with a shared heritage which completely challenged, questioned, and weakened the colonial construct of India, which often tried to see the North as Aryan and the South as Dravidian, and therefore I think it is important that we need to go beyond the binaries and see how things have changed over a period of time. I'm sure we need to do a lot of research on this, but this is just the beginning. I'm sure many more research will come and reveal new lights into it. Thank you.